Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. This is a continuation to my previous video. If you haven't watched it, you should go watch it. It's around Visa, the difference between a Mastercard and a Visa card, and also the difference between a debit card and a credit card. So we're going to carry on talking about that. I didn't want the video to be too long, so cut this out. By way of introduction, I'm Patrick Eddy, CEO of Orukka. Orukka is a payment ring, which is effectively a card slash wearables together. So we have payment rings, fitness rings, and also we have bracelets as well for making payments. We go for convenience, which is what cards were in the first place. So it's an evolution from cards. And getting there, we're the first to do this. Hopefully more banks start to do this. But as I said, I think the idea was to, cards came because people carried cash around. Cash was inconvenient. Still safe, but was inconvenient. Gold was more safe, but was inconvenient. We couldn't carry gold around. Even at the distrust, people don't trust government, and they decoupled from gold standard some years ago. But the convenience of carrying gold was a pain, so we moved to cash. The convenience of carrying cash around is a pain, so people moved to Apple Pay, which is effectively a tokenized form of this. So that means it's a token, it lives on your phone, but it's a card. And so we moved away from that to these cards and wholesale things. Now, even this is not safe anymore. So if you're walking around with wallets, if you're in a metropolitan city, you know what's happening right now. In terms of thefts, in terms of people scanning the devices to steal from you, but that's no longer safe. And now we're doing is, at least for our customers, we allow the convenience of a ring. So your payment, your card can be topped up on these rings, and then you use it going forward. And then you can top it up weekly, monthly, depends on yourself and wherever you go for coffees, bars. Again, how many times a year do you spend $100 every day? 200 bucks, right? That's it. I mean, if you're buying a Ferrari every day, right, then I don't think we're for you, right? But if you're buying a coffee shop, sweets, which is what like billions of us do, right? We always tap to pay so quickly. The convenience of tapping to pay is what we do, and that's where the rents come in. Obviously, you can't tap this to buy a Ferrari, you can't tap this to pay your rent, but you don't pay your rent every day. So if you want to do those things, you sit on your laptop, you do it. But if you want to do, simple things like going out to coffee without your phone, without your wallet, going for a night out, going for a concert, events, going for a run, you could just tap to pay. Speaking of tap to pay, we need to talk about these things, right? So these are cards. And what they do is effectively they tokenize and allow you to make payments. So I think we'll jump straight to it. There's a difference between Visa card and Mastercard and Amex and JCB, Union Pay, all those guys. And that is a separate video which I've talked about. Now I want to talk about your Mastercard, sorry, your credit card, your debit card, charge card, Amex, and prepaid. Okay, so what's the difference? Because we hold these things in our wallet. Some you could do. If you do, that's good, right? Maybe to look through it and see, or listen to this and see if there's one or two things you can pick up or remind yourself about. Again, we walk in these things, so we know, okay? And this is not scripted, so obviously I'm going to go, my team might correct me on a few things I've done or said it correctly. They're the experts on this. But this is what we've been doing for the last 18 years. It's good to just give an introduction to people when we have the time, especially when these questions come up. So firstly, we have a charge card. I'll start with that. The charge card is basically things like Amex. Amex have that a lot. And what it is basically you can charge anything to a charge card. You charge anything to it, you pay it fully at the end of the month. Just say borrow it for a month. So what that means is you can have, charge cards for, in fact, Amex used to be charge cards. I think they have like a Centurion card. A Centurion card is a charge card because, and there's a marketing around it to make it look like it's more than what it is. No, it's a charge card. You can charge anything to it, you pay it at the end of the month. Or you charge $1, $5 to it, you pay it at the end of the month. That's what a charge card is. So that's one. And if you don't, the fees are high. Check my other videos on how banks make money. Banks make money by you not paying those fees on time. They rely on it. How guys will be out of business? You need to make sure you pay your charge cards on time. Issue here with the other one is with credit cards. So credit cards, same thing. You have to pay within a specified time. You should pay your credit cards within, I think, 30 days. Sometimes about 30 days. Others even go up to 90 days, right? But what happens then, if you're paying that within those windows, no interest. So effectively, you're getting credit for nothing. It's a good deal, especially if you can hold it, right? I'll tell you what, from a banking perspective, it's not it's not a good deal, but it's a bit of a gamble because of 100 people, at least 20% of them to 30%, depending on the economic situation, but minimum 20 to 30% are always late to their fees or their credit, which is good because then they make money on the late fees. They make money on the APR because they don't want to say, well, you can't pay at the end of this month. Don't worry, pay them right here, every month. And that's where they make their money. If you're paying your credit card every month, that's good. And that discipline should be allowed, should be allowed, should be allowed. And you should continue to do that. Pay monthly, and then you get the rewards. People use the credit for the rewards as well. That you get, a few things. And here we do rewards on our rings. Well, I think it's not as strong as the credit. We're trying our best to get more rewards. But we do rewards, I think, on the monthly session. If you pay monthly, we give you a discount, which is even more than the monthly fees, which is very good. Get discounts on hotels or flights. So that idea came from credit cards. So credit cards used to do that a lot where they go in and they give you, miles and give you a lot of rewards for using those cards within a specified month. The idea is to sell to you, right? Because what will happen is as long as you keep using the cards to book your flights and book your hotels, if you don't pay, which is about 20, 30% of us don't pay, what happens then? They pay it over a month and then that's a loan because it goes with a higher percentage rate than a loan or a car loan or a mortgage because this is unsecured. Right. So what would happen is you can get up to 10, 15, sometimes 20% APR on the credits you receive on your credit card. And debit cards, charge cards, say simple, pay at the end of the month. Credit card, you can pay over a certain amount of time. Okay, be careful with that. It's a lovely tool, but it's not in the known danger most of us. And obviously, if you don't pay on time, especially in Europe, America, Australia, Asia as well, and Africa's top countries have started to do it now. It affects your credit rating, which means you can't borrow any. You're seen as such. Just like countries can't borrow, because we can't borrow if we don't pay. So that's looked at negatively. If you want to avoid that, you can go to what's called a debit card. So debit card then is linked to one account. So in this case, it can be linked to your bank. Your bank will give you a debit. So now, let's look, what's a debit, right? Sorry, I'm going to do that. What's the difference between a debit and a credit card? So a credit card, obviously, you're taking things on credit. So it's called credit card. And you pay. If you don't pay at the end of the month, then we have an interest and you need to pay. A debit card is a debt on the bank. So the bank owes you that money. That's why it's called a debit card. So in that case, because I draw the line, right? Credit, debit. Debit means the bank is owing you that money. That means you go and you get paid at the end of the month, let's say $1,000. You give $1,000 to the bank to hold on your behalf. They borrow the money out. That's a debt. So they owe you money. That's why it's called a debit card. And in that case, what happens when you go to tap? They must give you that money immediately. It's a commitment. Otherwise, you need to claim insurance or go into different governments. That could go into what happens when the bank defaults. But effectively, you're giving money as you're giving me money, you're giving your granny or putting money under a bed. Putting money under a bed is safer. In theory, apart from the hangover coming to you, you know your money is there. If you give your money to a bank, it's actually money in your bank. It'll be silly for a bank to hold that money, right? Because the bank needs to make money for its investors. They need to make money to pay you interest to it because you borrowed them the money. So they pay money, they pay interest to you as long as the credit interest rate is reasonable. You get money by leaving your money in the bank. And that's what's called a debit card as well. So debit card means they owe you. You withdraw and make payments against your debit card. And there was some rewards, I think, for using debit cards. Some actually even charge you as well for using your debit card, issuing your debit card. Most fintechs, I think that's how they survive. We'll go into how they charge card and how things work, but that's how most fintechs survive. They actually charge for the debit cards because they don't make money on the other side, which I'll talk about. Then prepaid, I think, is the other one. Prepaid is a debit card. It can also be a credit card. But in truth, it's just you load the money on it. And how you load money on it is up to you. And how much you load on it. Sometimes the issuer, check the video on issuing, but the issuers, the bank who's issuing it, can decide how much limit you put on those cards. Or the range. So in this case, we have our ring, which is prepaid effectively because you load money on it and then that's all you get. Which is good for security as well because if someone steals this ring, you don't know how much is on it. So while I'm supposed to see this on my finger, again, if you can try to steal it if you want, it's tougher. It's easier to steal my wallet, right? Except that so if I'm out and about and you don't want your wallet to be stolen, you can use your ring. And there's a script that no one knows how much is of the ring. So it can be linked to your credit card, it can be linked to your debit card, it can be linked to the bank. It can be linked to a prepaid account. If it's a prepaid, which is only like $10 or $100, that's what you spend within a week. If your expenses within a week, you put $100 on this ring, and that's why you carry about. Go long to nose to the night. If you're traveling and you have a daily budget of 1,000 throughout, you can load 1,000 on it, and that's all that they steal if anyone goes there either. So that's important. That's the difference between your charge card, where you pay every month, credit card where you're allowed to spread that credit, the debit card where the bank owes you debt, you have to pay, and then the charge card. So that's important. So let's talk about and within that, I think you might have noticed how we touched about what Amex is, right? So Amex is actually a charge card, which is different. So it's what they call the closed loop compared to your bank Visa debt. So let's look at this, right? So these guys, call them the mafia. I call them the payment mafia. These guys, right? Visa, Mastercard have an agreement between each other. Oh, and so does JCB, Union, and any of those card providers. All of them have a network, which they call card network. Those card network, they take payments. That's all they do. Take payments, receive payments, make sure it's transferred, make sure you go to Starbucks, wherever you are in the world. They have the largest network. That's the idea. They have the largest network. So that if you go to 127 countries and there is an ATM, there is a POS machine. Once you tap it, within a second, it goes and finds out where you're trying to make the payment to, and the settlement is within a second, which is what, we're very good, especially across banking. That's traditionally slow. So within that, I think the open loop, let's call it open loop or network, right, allows people to move money around within different providers. So if you look at it, I'll just mention 4 people. It's you and your bank, which issues the card, the merchant who you're paying, the merchant's bank who will receive the money from on behalf of the merchant, and the network. So those guys all together, bind together, and that's why it's an open loop, because all these people talk together. Conversely, we have Amex. Amex is closed loop. Is also closed loop. Those are the only two I know, right? Mostly Americans that do this. And they're big enough to do it. That's the point. So closed loop is basically like your canteen. So if you've been to a canteen or a restaurant at work, or a vending machine that only accepts a specific kind of card, that's in closed loop. So what that does, the closed loop is you, the card provider or machine, and what you're paying. Only 3 people. There's no Mastercard, Visa card, no other entity, nothing. Only the 3 of you. So that's what Amex run. So Amex have you, they give you the card, and they give the POS machine to operate a card. And only that card would work with their card and would work with Amex. The closed loop, that's the difference. Can they work together? I don't know. It's politics, right? It's bigger than fintech, I'll tell you that. And I didn't know if you go to some places across the world. America needs to expand, Amex needs to expand, but they've got about 350 million, and there's big specific countries that they want to work with, and that's why it's such a closed loop. If they work with other providers, it'd be a good idea. Or Visa, Mastercard, that'd be a good idea, but they don't do it now. How they do it in the future, hopefully they do, never know. I'll get some water. So that's it. So in terms of fees, let's talk about the fees, right? So who makes money for it? Amex is straightforward because it's closed loop. So they charge you X amount whenever you pay. So if you pay $5, they charge you 2%, 1%. Some countries define exactly what it is no more. So I think in the US, it's up to 1.5% to 3%. That's all you get. And in terms of fees. So they charge you that, and that's all they can do. If the cost is $5, 3%. You might not see it because it goes to the vendor, like take it from the vendor. It doesn't matter because next time the vendor will up the price. Okay, so if you say $1 for $5, sorry, coffee for $5, actually $4.97. Yeah, because the percentage has been charged as card, but you don't know because you pay. So that's it, which is closed loop. Oh, and then unfortunately, this impacts everything. So that means the price of everything goes up based on the charge provider, not cash. Because no one's going to say, if you pay cash, you pay for that. Actually, some do that. It's a different conversation. They should. But in general, price of everything is based on cards. So if you go, you want to pay with cash, they might take it cheaper, especially some rural, remote areas. And they might turn around and say, what, if you pay cash, it's cheaper. That's why, because they don't pay the fees. So that's one, which is the simplest one. And then the more complex one is the open loop. So the open loop, we have what's called interchange fees, and we have what's called the network fees, which is the same. So customers ask us, why do some charge cards, my bank doesn't charge? Your bank doesn't charge because they accept what's called the interchange fee. So the interchange fee is the fee between the 4 people I mentioned earlier. So when you pay, the issuer takes a fee, you pass it on, the merchant takes a fee, also is charging you for your coffee. And then the third person, the merchant, the bank takes a fee as well, because they charge you. And there's number 4, which is a network that provide all this. You don't see them, you don't see Mastercard, or they see Visa, but they do the orchestration. So they do that, they charge a fee. All that's called the interchange fee because of all the interchange. It's a network, right? That network that interchange is what's called the interchange fee. In general, I think it depends on the country. In the EU, we've been good enough to just limit that fee to be 0.4%. You should all follow through. tune, but it depends on the cost. So Mastercard, I think they charge a bit more in the US. It's up to the 3.5, and then we have in Africa, it goes up to 2.5%, depending on the network and how they can connect. So, it depends on what they charge, right? If you charge anything, but I think what's important, you learn nothing from today, it should be that it's what's called the interchange fee. And the interchange fee is swap between the issuer, the merchant's bank, and then obviously the network provider. And between them, who gets the most fees, right? I can tell you, so the issuer gets the merchant bank gets the lowest of the fees. And there are some countries where we effectively, we're on the issuing side with this, right? So the issuing side gets some fees. So if you look at, say, let's say $10, right? If your coffee or whatever you buy, let's say coffee, I like coffee, it's $10, right? If it's $10, that means in general, the price of coffee was actually 8.5, not 10. So that means 1.5 is gone within the network. Now that network, the merchant's bank takes 0.25. So of that 1.5, don't take 0.25, leaving you with 1.25, 1.5. Right. So the 1.25 now is split between Mastercard, they take the lion's share, Mastercard or Visa or JCB or Union Pay. Those guys out there, they take $1. And then the issuer is left to 0.5. And that's it. And all this happens, you see it instantaneous, it's almost instant for you because you tap, it goes through. However, this settlement between the others, right, between the issuer of the ring of the card, the network provider, and all those guys happens within 30 days. Within 30 days, we usually get one say, here's your money. And that's why there's a lot of reconciliation, a lot of back office. When we are working late at night, this is why, because we're trying to reconcile everything that's come through all the way. Well, Mastercard and Visa, I think they're really, really good at Amex. They're really good in terms of that network and instantaneous settlement. And I think, in my opinion, it's being backbone to crypto. And to most of the whole blockchain technology, right? Because it's about settlement of transaction. Even that's not as expensive. But I can tell you, crypto these days is going to get cheaper, but we know the gas fees are crazy high as well. And that's the price of transaction and validation. So what I've just said there, the interchange is a transaction validation because someone has to know who's receiving, who's paying, which wallet to provide to, which account, which country, right? Which conversion rate to use. All that happens almost instantaneously. And now that's being moved to blockchain, which also happens as quickly as possible, maybe not as instant. So blockchain, I think they have a long way to go there to one, make it as instant as you pay with your card, and also cheaper without gas fee and the network going up and down. If they can bring that down, I think they have a strong play. And because now I think Visa and Mastercard are doing it so well, but if they can do it cheaper, cost is distributed, it'd be good to see more crypto play in that area. So that's it. Then I hope I've been able to explain it. I'll just see if there's any questions coming in here. Okay, how about Apple Pay and Google Pay? So Apple Pay and Google Pay are effectively, I think I mentioned this at the start, they're a card. So what happens, you take your card, you put it into your phone, and it's tokenized in the sense that this becomes a norm that your card has a code that's stored on your phone. What happens then is when you tap your phone, which you better have a battery, that's the problem. If your phone has a battery, it has to go into the network, read the code, right? Store it, and then send it out to you. So nowadays, I think even when the battery dies, they need a few, like just a bit of network to read the card. So when you read the card, then you can send through the tokenized card. That tokenized card goes to Mastercard and Visa. Mastercard and Visa can recognize the token and link it to your card. That's how they pay. It's effectively the card on the phone, but it's stored as a code, tokenization. So that's it. Again, nothing too crazy there. Chargebacks, I think we've talked about. Chargebacks work similar because of 30 days. It's possible for there to be a mistake. It's possible for the service not to provide it, but it's going through instantaneously. That's rebated, and the persons who pay would be one, the orchestrator. So Master Visa card, they find out what's happened, deduct, and they take it straight from whoever was selling the service. Because you're buying, something hasn't been delivered, you're claiming it, so they charge. I think they even charge fees as well for that investigation. Then let's talk about interchange fees. We talked about different cards. So I think one last point, in case you haven't watched my other videos, someone's asking, the key players. So the key players are the issuer, which in this case, you look at your bank card, that will be always up here. So this is the issuer of the bank. The issuer will be the bank or the fintech providing this, and this would be the network. So the network would either be Mastercard, Visa, Index, Union Pay, the whole lot, Diamond. They're always down there. And then once you have the issuer, you issue the card, You as a user go in to pay with a merchant. The merchant is actually the person selling the product. The merchant's bank could be the same, but it's separate. Even if it's the same, it's a different account. So it's different. It's seen as different. So that's a play that the merchant's bank is separate. And lastly, the network, which is completely separate. So thank you and see you in the next one. If you haven't downloaded already, download Monesave, buyyourorukka.com. Go buy Orukka on Orukka.com and be free of wallets, payments, and just live a simple minimalist lifestyle. Thank you.